I'm going to make just a few comments. I just want to briefly talk about the show. First of all, what a wonderful show combined. We'll get to Cheryl in just a second. What a wonderful show. There's so many beautiful pieces in this show, juring down to 12 pieces. Jurors always say this, but it's really true. There's several pieces that could and should be recognized, but we're going to celebrate just 12 today. But that, if your painting or the painting that you love isn't in the 12, please take heart, because it's in my mind. It's in the mind of those that are viewing the show, and your art is being appreciated. But I selected 12 pieces, and I'd like to talk just briefly about each of the 12 pieces, why I chose it, and then I'll talk about how I judge a jury's show in just one moment. But let's talk about Cheryl's piece here. This is a delightful little piece. First of all, it's batik, and I'm impressed by the process. I think I am an alla prima watercolor painter, and I want you to know that everything I do is immediate. It's all in one go. Usually, I don't work on a piece more than a day, if it's a day. So any piece that has process involved, oil painting. Yeah. Hold it closer. Okay, how's that?
That's good.
Back in the back, is that better? I'm not an MC. But anyway, any piece that involves process, I have a special love for, special respect for, because you have to learn the process as well as enjoy the whole process of preparing art and working with color and design and everything. What I love about this piece, I wrote several notes, and these are cryptic notes. This is kind of the way I think, so just bear with me. But I love the beauty of the colors in this piece. I love the way that through the process you were able to preserve those colors. I know it's a layering approach and it's building color on color and additions here and there, but I love the way that you have preserved the color in this piece. Line, shapes, I'm a big shape painter. I'm really interested in, does the artist develop interesting shapes? And you'll hear me say this several times, so we'll talk about this with this piece, but throughout the thing, that's one of the things I look for most, is how the artist is using shapes. And I love the way each of these major shapes are working with each other across the page, and each shape supports the other shape. So my colorful shapes are the ones that I think are the most interesting shapes, or the ones that you're trying to highlight the most, and you do that so well with the way you're using line and edge, and then you soften the color up in the sky, you soften the color down in the foreground as well, yet there's really nice color pops that accentuate the color in the main subject of the painting. I love that. That's just beautiful. Integration, that's the comment that I'm making there, integration, those aspects. The movement of the escarpment, this to me, I was in Palisades this summer. Is it Palisades?
No, this is Moab.
Moab. Oh yes, the piece says Moab. I'm being silly, but it reminds me of the escarpments in Palisades. And as we were there, we were only there for a day or so. But I was wondering, how would I paint those as a painter? And I think you have done a great job of articulating the movement across those with those lines across the tops, and then the use of color just really builds the image. It just builds the beauty of the image. Nice primary palette, blues, yellows, and reds, but you have these gorgeous greens in there as supporting actors. I love that piece of it. Scratches, the actual texture in the paper. To me, it reminds me, maybe I'm dating myself, but it reminds me of the old tin type photographic plates, that get scratched up, from abuse or time or handling. These lines here kind of remember that, mimic that. And for me, what that does is it ties back the idea of history. So the old photo plates, they're historic. We don't do any of that anymore, right? But it kind of is that throwback to, and that ties back to the geology, the time in geology, geologic time. That's what I'm trying to go for there. Yeah, that kind of thing. Nice frame presentation. Just overall, that was the piece. Those are the elements that caught my eye, and that's why I picked this as the best of show.
Thank you, Steve.
Let me explain how I jury a show. I come to an exhibition like this one, and I look for come and see moments, what I call come and see moments. So I will oftentimes stand in the middle of the show, and I'll look around and I'll just make mental notes. That piece, that piece, that piece. It could be color, it could be scale, it could be design. There's a lot of things that you can see just spotting the show, but I'll look for come and see moments, and I'll make a note of those. Then I will go experience the show one by one, and I try to look at each piece as though it is a unique idea in the show, because it truly is. And I really try to honor that each artist is saying something, so I'm trying to engage each piece and try to understand what is this artist communicating to me. I think by doing it this way, it keeps me out of, well, I like this piece better than this piece. I like that piece less than this piece, or this piece has got colors in it that are favorite to me, that kind of preferential. There will always be some element of preference when you're jurying a show, always will be. I don't know how, unless you eliminate the human eye and human heart feelings, they're going to be part of the jurying process. But what I'm really trying to do is separate myself from that, engage each piece and the statement that the artist is trying to make. And it can be something simple like just the joy that artist has in dealing with the subject, like flowers. They just might be in love with florals. I'm a landscape painter. I do paint some florals, but my love is landscape. So I really try to connect with what I think the artist is trying to demonstrate or say to the world. So I do this come and see moment, then I will go experience each piece. Then I make a short list, and I look at my notes and how many awards do I have to hand out. And that's where the elimination process, it's a selection process. I'm trying to select pieces that will articulate most of the things that I'm looking at, like design, color, composition. Is it different? Is it a unique idea? Have I not seen this idea before? So sometimes I might pick a piece that is maybe not as well executed as the one next to it or around the corner from it, but it has a unique kind of point of view or idea. And I think we need to keep rewarding that, because presentation and technique is a function of time, isn't it? So I might have a younger artist who's painting beside an artist who's been painting for decades, and I'm trying to level that playing field by looking at the ideas and trying to see, has the artist executed the idea as comprehensively as I think they could have. So you might see some pieces that you might think, well, that piece isn't executed as well as this one, but it's a different point of view, something I've never seen before. So I might look for those things. And I think as artistic communities, we need to make room for pieces like that. We need to make room for people to grow up into our organization, keep them in the game, so to speak. Peace. So those are the things that I'm looking for when I jury a show. Let's go to the next piece. Karen, congratulations. Beautiful piece. I think this is also a batik. And it looks like you have some of the same, paper structure, substrate that you're working on. So those elements, just like the first piece. Now what do I love about this piece? Beautiful presentation. I think this is an example of a comprehensive package. The frame, the colors, the border, the mat, everything is working very well together. It's a great example of all that. But there are some other things that I see happening in this piece. color choice is really wonderful. Again, this is primarily a primary palette with secondaries, but it's a primary, the blues, the reds and yellows, and secondaries. But what I was really drawn to in this piece was it's a square shape. We're going to talk about another piece that's square. Square format is very difficult to pull off a painting that's got energy, because the format itself is formal, isn't it? Equal sides, equal distances, equal. So if you're choosing between the 5 formats, landscape, portrait, elongated landscape, elongated portrait, square, to choose a square is a bold move. So this piece is primarily square. I'm going to call it a square in presentation. We have a piece that's coming up later that is more square. But to work within that space with what this artist did, I think is really skillful. Look at the shapes. I thought she had beautiful shapes, beautiful shape development. Right here, they're similar in scale, but they have different orientations to them. So immediately, there's a movement to the piece, a visual movement to the piece, just working within a lot of like subject but different shapes, and those shapes integrating together and working together create that eye movement. I love the way the primaries pop out from the page. Again, this was one that if I stood across the room and I looked at this piece, those colors just jumped out at me, but not in a garish way. Garish is not a good word, but do you know what I mean? An abrupt way. They're subtle, but they're there, but they're saying, come and see this, explore this painting. And then the movement within the piece, the visual movements, we have strong verticals, and sometimes that can be dangerous, is to have strong verticals, but look at the variety of movement that's happening within the lilies themselves. I think that is what pulls this together and makes it a cohesive piece. Border within border. I love this idea of border within border. Again, it traps the idea, and it makes me as a viewer, as a viewer, I'm drawn into this piece. I want to spend time in that piece. Sometimes I'll do a painting and I've given escape routes to my viewers, and without knowing it. And they'll come up and look at my paintings and I'll go, and then they'll move on. Well, this painting captures my attention and keeps me right in the piece. I think that's expertly, very well done, expertly done. It's a beautiful piece, and congratulations. I'll just say, after they chose this piece, but this was one of my choices too. I left it for them. But I love the design of this piece. I love the movement of this piece. Color consistency, the agreement of color. It's just a lovely piece. Nicely done. Good job.
This is Darlene Woolley, Reflections on Lake Lead.
Congratulations, Darlene. This is really nice. I love when you paint a painting and you've got strong verticals in the painting. That was one of the comments in the last painting. It can be dangerous because it leads the eye out. Working with cathedrals or spiky, pointy kind of that vertical by putting the attention of the painting in the reflection, obviously, but wonderful work on the water. This is a very strong L-shaped design, well-handled water reflection. And the line work, all the line work within the painting, this and this all brings you to the subject, the reflection. So that's very well done. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Carol Fazell for Wake Up Call.
Carol, what I love about this painting is it's watercolor, and you've got fluid. You've really captured the whole idea of the fluidity of watercolor. Beautifully done. But if you examine this piece, when we get past the awards, look at the textures that we have in this image. I love the way that we have a heart shape right here. It's in the center-ish portion of the painting. it just locks that whole idea of the rooster in where you want it to be, with this beautiful texture. And then I just love this head. It just draws me in and makes me smile. So great job, love that. Love your color work.
Next is Renee Peterson to the parade.
Very nice.
Very nice. Now, once again, I just want to point out scale. This is a smaller piece. Maybe scale might make it feel like it's a little quieter. But I don't think so. I think your use of color. First of all, I love good use of perspective. There's a very strong one-point perspective happening here in the piece, and your handling of the human form and the way that the human form is working together with other human forms, which are just shapes, but they are creating this draw, this pull. Your use of light, I love these white highlights you have up on the shoulders. But as I looked at this piece, the execution is really nicely done. I like the simplification of shapes. I want to be clear about that. I know what you're painting, but you simplified all the shapes and the facets and the sides of the shapes that allow me as the viewer to fill in the information. With those strong highlights, captures an ordinary scene, but in a very different, unique way. Love this piece. Nicely done.
Next is our picture hanger, Warner Reeser for Stingrays.
Good job. Thank you. My impression of this piece, there's a couple things I'll comment. An unusual point of view. This is a top-down or over-top view. Don't see this very often. So I love the point of view that you're taking with this painting. Different from the other paintings that you submitted to the show, but I love that. Integration of shapes that create movement. Look at how there's a strong repetition of the major shapes. There's multiplicity in those shapes, and yet they're all unique. They're all moving in a direction, so they create this really nice movement. The key word that I wrote down for myself with this piece was whimsy. I felt this, I could see it from across the room. It felt whimsical to me. It was like, I want to enjoy that piece. So I made it a point to go, walk up to it and enjoy it. I love the way you've unified the theme of people and nature as a unified whole, because we need more of that thinking, that we're all part of the same biosphere, the same atmosphere, the same everything. But it's a great whimsical piece. I just love it. Nice color work.
Next is Anthony Knight for Wabi Sabi.
Anthony, right? Tony. Okay, great job. What I love about this piece, first of all, I love the consanity or agreement between the piece itself and the name, the title you gave to it. I'm hoping that was your intention as you started the piece. Wabi Sabi, imperfection, impermanence, simplicity, it's all captured right here. What initially attracted my eye to the piece was the vase, the blue vase to the right. Okay, but as I came closer to the piece, I saw these other elements that are in the piece, like the cairns, the stacks of stones, the twigs, the integration of that imperfection, life and death. A stacked stone isn't permanent, isn't it? Like a puff of wind could blow it over. So you really captured the spirit, the idea of Wabi Sabi, that there's beauty in everything around us. There's beauty in, if you will, the unremarkable, the unbeautiful. But this is a beautiful piece. Execution is beautifully done. Human touch, finger-like twigs. There's just that integration between the concept of Wabi Sabi being a human idea and then nature. Well done. I also want to comment on the unfinished border. I think that was a very bold move. This area right here, he leaves unfinished. Well, that is just a reinforcement of that major theme. Life isn't finished until it's finished, you know, and it is what it is. I just love that, and there's more work to do. I think that's what I saw in that. There's this idea in the center, but then there's more work to do, and it all integrates beautifully. Nicely done. Good piece. Very beautiful piece.
Yes, next is Scott Roberts.
But I love the S shape, the strong design of the S shape in the foreground of the painting. It leads me back to the structure, to the middle ground, which is the tree line. But my eye goes back into the perspective of the scene, back to the mountains, which is your subject. That's a very nice design, design thought to use for a landscape. It's executed very well. Another thing I like about this piece is all your shapes are very simplified. There's a structure. I know it's a structure, but there's very little, if you will, architectural detailing in it. So I am inclined to look at this piece, see the simplified shapes, and then unify them as the viewer. I pull the colors together. I pull the scene together. Very nice job of handling atmospheric perspective in the piece. Very, very nicely done. Was this painted plein air?
It was.
I can tell. But beautifully done. Nice job.
Next is Sandy Stavnes, Evening Promenade.
Yes, you may. I love about this piece is the simplicity again of this piece. Look at we've got simplified color scheme, almost monochromatic, but not really. But it's certainly heavily weighted on one side of the color wheel, reds and yellows, with the browns being a neutralized reds and yellow. And I love the shape development. This is the way you've abstracted the shapes, but everybody, you can read this so well, can't you? And I love the way you've used line. I call these lines here. I love the way you're using line as a design element. They're shapes, but we'll speak about that as lines. All those lines draw you up from the foreground into the shape, the main shape, and that's where you do that's where you experience the painting. You interpret the shapes. I love that little white dot here. I'm going to call it a sun. Could be a moon. Okay, but I love that. I love the concinnity, the agreement, the total design agreement of this piece. It's quiet, and yet I could look at this piece. I could experience this piece several days, day after day after day, and I don't think I would grow tired of it. I think I got division of space. I love the way how you have this light shape up here is countered with the dark shape at the bottom. It's relatability, group, family, and that as a viewer for me draws me into the piece, and it's part of the romance of it. Nice job.
Next is Lynette Duncan for Some of Each.
Some of each. I mentioned square format. This is another square format, and square formats are formal balance, passivity. It's a tough format to work with. But look at the excitement in this piece. Look at the way that the artist is using color, and look how the shapes of the painting are moving. There's a lot of movement just by the way she's presenting shapes in the piece. This is a piece that, again, from across the room, it just says, come and look at me, come and see, come experience. Look at this strong vertical here that's offset by all the energy and action that's going on in the foreground. Love the way the neutrals are offsetting the bright colors. They're pushing them out. There's a design or a painterly technique to push something out at the viewer. And it's very well held together by those elements. I love your color choices. They're bright. They're not whimsy, but they're energetic. Nicely job. Nice job. Nicely done.
Next we have two honorable mentions. The first is Gail Furman, but we don't think she is here. Is that correct? Oh yeah, is Gail Furman here?
Strong in this piece, strong shapes. Nicely done. Good piece.
last but not least, Darcy Krutek with Abstract Nature Collage.
So to me, this piece is all about rhythm. It's all about strong horizontal rhythm across. That helps to lighten the piece. And something that might be repetitious or boring, those verticals, you know, the lines, gets broken up by the way she's using color. And it makes it accessible. It makes it inviting. So I love that. Rhythm, use of line, and dashes. So she's offsetting the rhythm of the verticals with these dashes. And that creates counterpoint movement, vertical and then horizontal, which is really well done. Let's see, the triangles down at the bottom here, all of those overlapping triangle shapes, to me, become the, what do I call it? A foil for the verticals. They're pushing the verticals out at me. It's acting as a supporting actor, but not really. I mean, it's really a love story. And so one is the lover and one is the one that's being pursued. But the subtlety is handled by the color. Dark verticals on the edges, so your edge work over here is dark, so again, it traps the eye inside the rhythm. And that's what the piece is about. That's a fun abstract. I love it. Nice job. Anyway, just one final word. Thank you so much for the privilege of being able to come here today and look at these pieces with you, explain why I think that they're beautiful pieces, and I congratulate both your groups. You have very strong artwork, and it was just a joy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.